Both these cars don't need an introduction. In fact, these have been some of the most awaited SUVs of 2019. There's a lot more that is common between the two. Both are powered by the efficient 2-litre diesel engine from Fiat. Both are extremely spacious and both are priced really well. In fact, they managed to undercut some of their competition from a size smaller. So if you were to choose one of these over the likes of the Creta or even ignore the Jeep Compass altogether, which one is the one to go for? Let's find out. Though it may not look like it, in terms of dimensions, the Hector is actually longer and taller than the Harrier. What dwarfs its proportions are those wheels. Now both are sitting on 17-inch wheels, but the tire size on this one is smaller, 215 versus 235, and that alone makes sure that the Harrier looks beefier than what it is. That beefed up stance is highlighted further with the flared wheel arches, pinched roofline and the rising belt line. The Harrier's facial design isn't unique anymore, with the likes of the Venue, Seltos and the Hector taking a similar design approach. So both these cars employ the headlamp in the bumper configuration for the design. So which one you like is frankly up to you, but I think in terms of functionality, the Hector is a tad bit better. The illumination is certainly better than what the Harrier offers. And if you can see on the Harrier, the headlamp already has a few scratches around it. So in terms of protection, this one is certainly better protected. In terms of aesthetics, this is certainly a cleaner design, but I prefer the more imposing face of the Harrier. The Harrier also looks quite sophisticated, more so with its sculpted taillights, the 4 exhaust tips, minimal badging and the floating roof. The pinched roofline also gives it an air of being a coupe crossover, and that silhouette separates it from the rest. But if you would rather settle for old school straight lines and a boxy form on an SUV of this size, then the Hector could appeal more to you. It is a mixed bag of Asian and European styling cues, but save for the loud badging and the asymmetrical rear bumper design, the overall design of this car is quite smart. Like the exterior, even the cabins of these two cars will come down to a personal preference if you're making a choice based on their designs and layouts. The Harrier looks quite sophisticated with its multi-layered dash compared to the Hector's simple appointments. The Hector's cabin makes up for the lack of flair with mood lighting and electrical adjustments for the front seats though. Both cars have perforated panels on the steering wheel, soft touch materials on common touch points, and leatherette upholstery to create an air of being premium. If you have a thing for car cabins with wood panels, there's a chance that you might like this cabin better than the Hector. The overall fit and finish is quite good. There are soft touch materials on most of the common touch points, and that elevates the feel of the cabin. In fact, we've said this in the past and we'll repeat it again, this is easily one of the best cabins that we've experienced in a Tata car. You also get a touchscreen infotainment system. It's nice and large, certainly not as large as that of the Hector, but then it's there, it looks quite good, the color combinations are quite nice, just that it's a little bit laggy. In terms of the instrumentation, you get a nice combination of an analog clock and a digital instrumentation. The clocks or the instruments are quite easy to read, but the telltale lights, they aren't. It is a matter of getting used to though. The infotainment is mated to a lovely audio unit tuned by JBL and has all of 2018's technology that you can think of for this price bracket. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, native apps, etc. The MG Hector has a 2019 equipment list. It's got an infotainment that talks to you, it's got internet, it's also got a satellite navigation system that updates its map data on its own. You don't have to do anything, over-the-air updates, you know. And if you don't want that, you can always hook your iPhone and use the Apple CarPlay in landscape mode. Where is it? Oh well. Maybe like in the Harrier, CarPlay will be added later and pushed through an over-the-air update to justify that Internet Inside badge on the outside. Speaking of which, there are a plethora of connected technology features that we have covered in depth when we first reviewed the MG. And it's a no-brainer that the Hector outclasses the Harrier in the infotainment department. I like the large screen, it's all tech savvy and everything, but I don't like the fact that you have to take your eyes off the road to use the functions here, and here you have to do it quite often. Also, the display screen remains quite bright even at its dimmest setting, and that can get distracting when you're driving at night. Turning off the display fixes that, but that also turns off the audio. Furthermore, the third-party apps on this thing seem like they were designed for a smartphone or a tablet and not for automotive use. And so the fonts are small and the UI isn't intuitive as you would expect in a car. But then the option of having third-party apps only makes the infotainment stronger. No Apple CarPlay at the moment, I can understand, but that infotainment system also refused to play music off my phone through the USB connection, and it does that. Every time I say phone or USB, it just picks up all those words and starts disturbing my conversation. Anyway, moving on to the rear seat space so that infotainment doesn't disturb us. The space here is comparable to that of the Harrier. Ingress and egress, slightly better here in the Hector. In the Harrier, because of those fat rear wheel arches, getting out of the car is a bit of a problem if you're a shorter person or even for old people. In here, it's much better. You get a rear AC vent, you get a fast charger as well. The space is nice and good. The seats are nice. You get an airy feel inside this cabin as compared to the Harrier, and that's because of the large glass house. The visibility outside the windows is good, and then you have this huge panoramic glass roof which adds to that airier feel. The Harrier seats are plusher, and the rear bench has better bolstering, shoulder room and under-thigh support. You also don't have to sit in a knees-up position like you would in the MG. So if you're going to be driven around often, the Harrier would be the better choice. The Hector offers a wide variety of powertrain options. There's a petrol with an option of an automatic, there's a petrol hybrid and also a diesel. The Harrier only gets a diesel manual for now, but a petrol variant and an automatic transmission are expected to come next year alongside the BS6 transition. As I mentioned before, both the diesels that are seen here use a Fiat-sourced engine. Thanks to the Compass Trailhawk, FCA is ready with a BS6 motor, which will come to these cars next year but is likely to make them pricier and take away the price advantage over the third most awaited SUV of the year, the Kia Seltos, which is BS6 compliant already. When you realize that for almost the same money as the Hector diesel, the Harrier settles for the lower state of tune for the 2-litre multi-jet engine, you're bound to feel a little short-changed. Not that the 140 PS feels inadequate or anything, but that additional power that the Hector has just makes it feel a little more tractable, a little more eager. The Hector is marginally heavier than the Harrier, but has a better power-to-weight ratio, and that reflects in its superior acceleration off the mark. It impresses further with better fuel economy too. But in terms of overall drivability, the Harrier's tuning seems to be better as these numbers reflect. The Hector is geared for a meaty low and mid-range, and that ensures that it feels on the job whether you're driving in the city or on the highway. The Harrier feels a bit strained in comparison, especially when driving with a full house, and it announces its discomfort with a gravelly tone from that engine. The 2-litre multi-jet 2 engine, it's a noisy engine and it just gets noisier with time. Now both these cars are fairly new, so it's very early for me to judge which one of these will do a better job at noise insulation when the engine actually starts aging. But in the current state, both are quite comparable. As far as the gearbox goes, the Hector gets the gearbox from the Compass and it has a much smoother operation. This particular gearbox in the Harrier has a pronounced drivetrain lash, and that sort of robs into the premium feel that the car otherwise offers you. The clutch pedal feels heavy on both the cars, but the Harrier is lighter in comparison. The brake pedal feel on the Harrier is spongy, however. So we like the Hector better for its progressive feel, a more confident bite, and significantly better stopping manners despite its smaller tires. I really like the kind of noise insulation that MG has managed with the Hector. There is a bit of a booming sound that you get at slow speeds. You might be hearing it right now if the mic is picking it up. Especially when you're driving on concrete surface, you get it quite a bit, and it tends to peak up when you're driving over rumble strips or joints or ruts in the road. But as the speeds rise, that noise goes away quite a bit. Now, in terms of the drivetrain noise refinement, like I said, they have managed to curb it quite a bit. It is quite a silent cabin. You don't even get a lot of wind noise creeping into the cabin. So from that sense, it does have a bit of a more premium vibe as compared to the Harrier. The other thing that I like about the Hector is its high-speed stability. Now, despite those puny tires, you don't get any sort of wallowy or unnerving feedback or unnerving feeling when you're driving at highway speeds. And even around the twisties, these tires have a fair degree of grip. Also, this car doesn't feel intimidatingly large when you're hitting the bends, tackling the twisties. Some of the other vehicles in this class or this particular size, they do make their weight and their length evident. This one doesn't do it, which is a good thing, especially if you're upgrading from a smaller vehicle. The Harrier feels much larger in comparison and heavier when you're driving it, and has a taller view of the road too. So if you're the kind who likes a more elevated driving position from an SUV, well, this is your car of the two. You sit quite tall in the Harrier, of course, but when it comes to cornering visibility, there is a bit of a mixed bag. For example, in the Hector, it leaves a wide 2-inch space on the windshield when the wipers are cleaning it, especially in times like these when it's raining. But the A-pillar is not too thick, the wing mirror is not too big. Here, in the Harrier, the windshield is cleaned quite nicely. The A-pillar is not too thick here either, but that wing mirror, it's huge and it sits quite tall. So in terms of overall cornering visibility, the Hector does a marginally better job. The suspension components on both these cars are quite similar too, but it's the Harrier that has the cushier ride of these two cars. This particular test car, however, has a suspension that is a bit noisy compared to what I remember of it from the previous tests. The Harrier feels soft around bends and has a fair bit of vertical movement. The wide tires ensure high grip levels though, but the Hector feels sportier to drive in comparison. The Harrier steering, though hydraulic, doesn't feel very confidence-inspiring, and our test car in particular had a lot of kickback as well. I don't know what is it with the Hector and the city speeds. At city speeds, the steering also feels a little vague, especially when you're at roundabouts or you have to maneuver through traffic at city speeds. It doesn't feel as precise as you would like. But as the speeds rise, it weighs up nicely, you drive it around twisties or around switchbacks, and it feels quite precise in its operation. In terms of safety, neither of these cars are making any NCAP claims, but both confirm with the crash safety norms that have been put in place by the Indian government. But to put things into perspective, the Baojun 530, the car from which the MG Hector has been derived, that was awarded a 5-star Chinese NCAP rating. Now, since space is one of the big trump cards for both these cars, you are going to have a lot of passengers who are going to be chauffeur driven. So in terms of rear seat safety, this car edges ahead of the Harrier. It offers a 3-point seat belt and an adjustable headrest, even for the passenger seated in the center on the second row. Both cars offer up to 6 airbags, ESP, ABS and ISOFIX child seat anchorage. But they also exchange a few punches in the safety features. While the Harrier has rollover mitigation, the Hector has disc brakes all around, a 360-degree camera and a tire pressure monitoring system. Now, if you are an off-road enthusiast, or even if you want to take the cars on mild off-road trails, is the Harrier that's slightly better equipped. Neither of these cars get all-wheel drive, so that kit is not there, but it may come to both these cars at a later stage, is what both the companies tell us. But as far as the current configuration goes, the Harrier has a slightly better kit in that sense. You have a terrain select system which has an off-road mode. Now, it is essentially a function of the traction control system. It's not really going to do much in terms of pulling you out of a tricky situation, but it also lightens the steering wheel a bit, so you get a little more control. It also gives you better low-end torque from the engine map. So again, it helps you a little better when you are in slippery conditions. And it also tunes the ABS. The ABS or the anti-lock brakes are more off-road biased. That's about it, but then it is a good kit to have. It's still a little more than what the Hector offers. Many might choose the Harrier over anything else purely for these terrain modes and the so-called Land Rover underpinnings. The Harrier has driving modes too, Eco, Normal and Sport, for altering the engine response, and switching to Sport makes it quicker by 1 full second for a 0 to 100 run. While these driving modes are marginally different from each other in terms of their real-world driving, they certainly add to the feel-good factor of the Harrier. In fact, there's plenty to feel good about in the Harrier. Its spacious cabin, the plush seating, the imposing stance and the low cost of ownership. But for a little more money, the Hector does a lot more. It's got a more powerful engine, more technology at your fingertips, more creature comforts, a better safety kit, wider powertrain options, and the list just goes on. The only place where it falls short is brand identity. But I believe MG is making all the right moves and have a very robust warranty and care package to ensure the buyer's peace of mind. And therefore, all things considered, the Hector is the better car of these two and a clear winner of this test. More importantly, however, if the Hector manages to withstand the test of time and prove itself to be a reliable product, it will establish MG in the market as a force to reckon with.